This is SBS World News with Virginia Langerberg.
Good evening. 5 days after powerful earthquakes struck Turkey and Syria, the death toll has exceeded 24,000. The search for survivors continues, with people still being found alive deep inside the rubble. In Syria, the UN Refugee Agency is warning that as many as 5.3 million people have been left homeless by the quakes, as rebel-held areas desperately cry out for humanitarian aid. It's a similar situation in southern Turkey, where temperatures remain near or below freezing across the region. Our reporter Claudia Farhat will update us from there shortly. But first, to the signs of life offering much-needed hope in the midst of the catastrophe.
This is Iskenderun in Hatay province. Most of the city's buildings are uninhabitable. Most of its people now living in tents. Things are getting desperate. Ruined homes are being looted and brawls are breaking out over the little aid that is trickling in. Good news is sorely needed. This morning, more than 100 hours after the first earthquake, they pulled 6 survivors from the rubble of this apartment building. They say they've just heard another noise and they think they might have found one more. About half an hour passes and hope begins to fade until someone calls out for a stretcher. And then 107 hours after the first earthquake hit, a survivor, Hachi Kilinch, is pulled from the rubble, arms waving in the air as he's carried into a waiting ambulance. His family still celebrating when, just moments later, another miracle comes. A second person and the wife of Hachi, Razia, is carried out of the rubble, down the line of rescuers and to safety. The crowd and the rescuers jubilant. Today they've achieved the seemingly impossible.
Bir canın nefesi olabilmek tarifi olmayan bir duygu.
Bütün ekip elinden geleni yapıyor. İnanın duygularımızı kelimelere dönüştüremiyoruz. Bazen çok neşeleniyoruz, bazen üzülüyoruz.
Just down the street, another building lies in ruins, but there are no rescuers here. Without signs of life, they can't afford to waste their resources. So most of the city's destroyed buildings are still untouched. Anyone underneath them still unfound.
Dün saat gece 3'e kadar burada bir çalışma vardı. Termal kameralarla, dedektör köpeklerle bu bölge incelendi. Şu an bu bölgede yaşam belirtisi olmadığından dolayı birçok yerde yaşam belirtisi olan yerler var. Ekipleri oraya sevk ettiler.
90 hours buried under the ruins of his home. No room to move, no energy to cry. Inshallah, the rescuers whisper, God willing. 10-day-old baby Yuz Ulash emerges from the darkness. For almost half his life, he's been stuck under the rubble. He's lifted up through the tunnel, dug to get him out, and taken to a waiting ambulance. But their mission isn't finished. His mother was with him in the void. She emerges, dazed, pale, but conscious. In Antakya, a rescuer shouts, "If you hear me, knock 2 times." They wait. Using specialist sound equipment, the other responder says he hears 2 knocks. "We're coming to get you. Knock 2 more times. Knock fast." And then it's on. A family of 4, one by one, retrieved from the rubble after 108 hours. On day 5, fewer searches end like this, but there are enough to keep hundreds of teams digging. Each rescue, each story of survival, lifting the spirits of weary crews. And a sign that there could be more. Those who have survived have been left homeless and hungry in the midst of a freezing winter.
Örnek veriyorum, bu devlet bize sahip çıkacak mı, çıkmayacak mı? Bize herhangi bir destek verilecek mi, verilmeyecek mi? Şu an hepimiz dışarıda kalıyoruz. Yani bunun sonu ne olacak?
While authorities distribute millions of hot meals, as well as tents and blankets, they're still struggling to reach many people in need.
Bütün bunların yanında çadırlarda kalmak istemeyen vatandaşlarımıza da kira bedelini ödemek suretiyle konutlara geçmelerini sağlayacağız.
As the death toll rises by the day, so too the funerals. A week ago, this was an empty wasteland. Now it is filled with grief and sorrow.
And joining us now from a rescue site in the city of Adana is our reporter Claudia Farhat. Claudia, how are rescue efforts going?
Virginia, well, a lot's been said about the 72-hour window for survival, but rescue workers we've spoken to say they still hold on to hope up until the 5th day, really. And we saw that over and over yesterday, people being pulled from the rubble after more than 100 hours trapped underneath it. But we've now crossed that 5-day line, and what's really noticeable here is that there's just not the same sense of urgency we were seeing a few days ago. This building just behind me survived the first earthquake but came crashing down in the second one. I've just spoken to a man whose father and brother are trapped underneath the rubble, and he's furious because he says it's only this morning, 5 days after the earthquake, that crews have started working here because they're still so under-resourced. And what's more, they need to pull the remains of the building down before they can even start looking for anyone in case it comes crashing down too. So that's going to make the search for survivors even more unlikely. And these are the kinds of frustrations people right across the disaster zone are now dealing with. And every day they're becoming more angry and more desperate. We were in Hatay yesterday, which is one of the worst affected provinces in southern Turkey, a bit closer to the Syrian border. And people say there's still not enough food, not enough water coming in, and not enough tents for everyone to sleep in. And then overnight, more reports of looting and violent fighting in the cities. So, Virginia, every day there is the sense that mood is beginning to change here in southern Turkey, and the people who survived the earthquake say they're now worried again about their own safety.
Desperate scenes indeed. That's Claudia Farhat reporting from Adana in southern Turkey.